So, this is now several months later, as you might have gathered by the snow. For various reasons, including but not limited to us getting the wrong parts twice, even though we ordered the correct ones, various other odds and ends. Also, thank you to the folks at Jegs who sent us that, because they actually knew what they were talking about instead of some of the other places that we tried to buy parts from, who kept sending us ones from you just moseying on out? Okay. We're off to a great start. So, it is like 19 degrees out today. But it's the only, but you know what, for 19 degrees it ain't bad. I mean, look at how beautiful it is. If it wasn't so fucking cold, it would be really nice out. I mean, but on the positive note, spring's right around the corner. As you can see, a Walmart leaf is already bloomed up in that tree. I fucking hate it here. Alright, so here's what we got. This 302 water pump pulley goes on here, right? Because there's supposed to be a fan that mounts to it, if you put the bolts on, the bolts go all the way through and actually hit the block. So that doesn't work. So we're going to install that. And then, hello, where are you? Hold up. There we go. This isn't the one that I need, but we'll get that done. We've got to flex that back into shape and plug it back into that carburetor, get that carburetor anchored down, get the radiator in here in some fashion. It's not going to be right. I've just kind of accepted it. This core support is really bent, and the only way for me to fix it is to buy a new core support, which is just, it's just not going to happen. And then we should be ready to actually do a test run on this thing, hopefully. I know it's been, now for you guys it hasn't been several months. For you guys it's been a matter of a couple of weeks, and this may be out after a junkyard walk episode that's really short, almost offensively short, and I apologize for that, but hey, I gotta go with what material I have. I told you guys the next time that we had this thing up and on the channel, it would be so that it could run. I'm not gonna make a liar out of myself. Sometimes you have to kind of send material that you planned on folding into an episode rather than material that could make its own episode. I don't think that made any sense, but we're gonna roll with it. So let's get this thing in here, find our bolts, bolt everything down, get the radiator in here enough that we can anchor it in place somehow, probably zip ties, and maybe we can hear this thing run. Alright, let's get to it. So in the process of bolting this in, we've noticed an issue. Because we're not running a fan off the pulley, we're running electric fans. This binds up when it's tight, but it also does not line up with anything when it's tight. Now I know that I bought the right one, supposedly, but right here is where it has the correct, where it rotates correctly. It rotates with this spine of this pulley in the center of this, but this doesn't line up with this, and this doesn't line up with this. So it has to come forward just a little bit Try to get this thing around to where it's at the right point. So basically, it has to come around. This wasn't the belt that was on there, but so it has to come around to where this makes contact, this makes contact, and this makes contact, along with the water pump, or not the water pump, power steering pump. Because this is the one. Hang on a second. Okay, I just had to make sure they aren't the same belt. We got to go get one of these as well. This is for
AC.
the AC, yeah. Because this goes here, here, and then to the front. We're not running AC. So that can go right there. Crap. Well, I can't put the radiator in until I have this done. So, ran into a problem. I'm gonna have to consult some resources to try to work this out. So, the way, if my understanding of this is correct, which I'm not saying it is, but if my understanding is correct, the power steering pump pulley is supposed to line up with the water pump pulley, is supposed to line up with the alternator, which lines up with the crank. It's supposed to be all those accessories are on one pulley, and then the other pulley is your AC. This doesn't line up with that, and if I have it all the way tightened down, it bottoms out and actually stops itself on the lower pulley. It runs into it. At about 3/4 of a rotation, it runs into it. I don't understand. I would think this thing's at a round, but I checked it. It is actually in round. It's correct. I checked the part number. It's correct. The only thing I can figure is that there's a way to create backspace so that that lines up. Now, maybe from factory, instead of being bolted in, they had all threads, or instead of having a bolt through, it was all thread and then you bolted to it. And maybe that's where I messed up. And you're supposed to have washers behind it to stabilize it. It actually makes a lot of sense. Not really, but it makes enough sense for what we're working with. Shit. All right, well, I guess I'll try to sort it out. So, in short, I've been fighting this issue with the water pump pulley, and it turns out that the water pump that's in this is not the right size. I don't know how Ford does this stuff, because this is the only Ford that I've had trouble with like this, but apparently it's possible to buy the wrong water pump for the wrong year and for it to completely throw off your pulley alignment and cause stupid shit like the fact that this won't seat because it slams into the crank pulley. And I don't have enough money extra to sink into that, as well as the wiring harness, which I'd have to redo anyway. It's just not there right now, which is really unfortunate. But also, looking at it a few days ago, I noticed that there were other issues with like the intake and whatnot. That carburetor is, I mean, it was on fire, so it's literally toasted. But it also needs other odds and ends stuff that I just don't have the time and money for right now, which is unfortunate. No, it's going to a happy place where it will be able to be back on the road again, and it is not going to be used for spare parts for somebody else's project. Was that good? But in all seriousness, there's somebody that wants this thing way more than I do, and they have a brand new motor waiting on it. They have other parts and pieces because they have another one which is in very rough condition on the body wise, but is in way better condition engine, trans, and everything else wise. So I couldn't really pass up the opportunity to hand my problems over to some other sucker. Said the quiet part out loud. To hand this project over to somebody else so that they can get their enjoyment out of it. I didn't put in that much money into this thing, but we did get to see it start and run. Unfortunately, I don't have any gas laying around because the local crackheads like to wander off with it, drink it, and leave my fuel canisters on the highway. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys accompanying me on this journey with this Mustang 2. It's kind of unfortunate that things went the way that they went, but we've got other projects. Maybe not that one. Coming up very soon. There are plans with the Subaru, but probably not for a little while. We do have a project that's currently sitting in storage that I hope you guys will like. That as soon as that project is done, we'll be coming home and we'll get to working on it. So with that being said, do the very best you can to have the day you deserve. Take care.